Welcome to Homeschooling for Spirituality. The Flow is a delightful mix of insight, divine inspiration, and humor, where wisdom meets earthiness to help your ongoing spiritual growth and transformation. Follow the flow of enlightenment and explore everything spiritual through the deepest self-inquiry, as student Lisa Berry asks master spiritual teacher G.P. Walsh the kinds of questions you would ask an elder, a wise man, or a sage, and receive direct, simple, comprehensive, and deeply human lessons and teachings. From transcending the experience of separation, releasing old conditioned patterns and wounds, and alleviating suffering, to demystifying esoteric practices and revealing one's true purpose and innate freedom. Welcome to the Flow of Enlightenment. Transformation is all there is. Welcome everyone to the Flow of Enlightenment. You're here with GP Walsh and myself, Lisa Berry. Just to introduce you, GP, to some new listeners, GP is actually a master spiritual teacher, and he teaches self-inquiry through non-dualism. And you've been doing this for so many decades, and we've shared a little bit about your story, but today we are going to explore frequency. So hello, GP.
Hello, Lisa.
Well, frequencies are something we have not yet discussed, and as well as you being a spiritual teacher, you are, in fact, a musician.
Yeah, I was that first, actually.
Yes. So can you share a little bit about that and how you, what kind of a musician are you, how you were, and how do you use it in spirituality?
What kind of a musician are you?
Yeah,
anyway?
kind of.
Well, as a background, I just started out as a rock and roll drummer. You know that story. And thanks to discovering B.B. King and the blues and, living in Chicago, I actually got, I got to know real music and what made something a real piece of music as opposed to just a copy of, just a product. And I got into it enough. I was totally into it. It was my whole life. But then I went to school for it, so I studied it. I studied classical music, and it was in college that I switched over to piano and started writing music. And it's just evolved over the years. I've written songs, I've written symphonies, I've written themes, I've written just about anything I could think of. I did some new age music, and as a spiritual teacher, it was just inevitable that I would make music for meditation. To be background that, and keeping in line with our subject today about different frequencies of sound and the like, and how they affect us. I heard things like the brain entrainment stuff, Binaural Beats and solfeggio, which are the most well known, and just started experimenting with them to see if they in fact had some kind of an effect. And the answer is, yeah, they do. The effect of music has been known forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Plato who warned, certain modes would bring about bad behavior, right? So immediately I wanted to know what those were.
Yes. Tell me the swear words. What are the swear musics?
Yes. Whenever you learn a new language, what's the first word you learn?
Yes.
The ones that are in the books, right?
Rebel.
So, music has a powerful effect on us simply because, in a certain sense, it's like, EFT or any kind of body work. It bypasses the mind. It bypasses the cognitive parts of us that are always editing and filtering. And it goes right to the heart. You put on a tune with a groove, and a kid that can't talk will start to dance.
Yeah, and that's so cute, by the way.
Yeah, it goes right into the body. They immediately feel it, right? And that's the magic of it. That's why music is just so interesting, and so different. it's totally ephemeral, right? Yes. It's not like any other kind of work of art, which is just sitting there in front of you. It's a flash. It passes by.
Yeah. Why do some people like some music? And when you were a teenager, your mom probably didn't, or your mom and dad, or your parents, and people were like, those kids, they just like this whatever music, word you want to use. Why do some people like certain kinds of music and
even age groups, and others just like, no, that's is it a frequency?
Well, most of it is, especially now, because there's so little exposure to a wide variety, and to find the merits and the beauty of all of them, that it gets very compressed. And the music industry, starting really in the 80s, just got completely dominated by the money guys.
Yeah.
And it was no longer about producing art at all. It was pure product. And so you got, I mean, there was always the top 40 list, right, which was all paid for, by the way. That was the whole scandal behind that whole thing. What was going to get heard and what wasn't. So it's always been this thing to try to control it. And it has this effect, because it has such a powerful effect on us, we tend to identify with certain forms of music. So now my music is characterized, I'm a headbanger, or I'm a rapper,
Yes.
or I'm a dubstepper, or whatever the latest thing is, right? And so identity gets wrapped up in it. And when that happens, it closes us off from experiencing something larger, something more expansive. But with the advent of the internet, there's been all sorts of things now, experiences of world music and all sorts of different cultures. And I heard a blues band. They're calling it Sahara Blues. It's this band, I can't remember their name now, from Saudi, and they're great.
Oh, I'm still looking them up. Oh my gosh, I already feel like I love it.
They're great. They're absolutely great. They're raw. They're not the perfect technique and all that sort of stuff. I remember as a kid hearing great blues players and stuff, and it was just pure energy, right? So I mean, it persists because the human spirit persists, no matter how hard they try to economically blot it out.
Right.
It's like whack-a-mole. It just keeps coming back.
Oh gosh, that whack-a-mole. No, interesting you say about it's pure energy. That is a big thing, because we're going to talk about how music is used in healings, and was really caught my attention was I was listening to one of your meditations in the music, and I was reading the description, and there's this thing that jumped out at me, and it said, I don't know if it was a question form, but I read it as, did you know that certain frequencies can assist in the repair of deep energetic patterns? And then I added, and the self-inquiry practice. And when I thought about that, I was like, yes, because sometimes we don't even have words, but we want to dedicate a song to somebody, because maybe, even if there's no words, but it's captured, or, I don't know, copies or something. What is it the energy of it? What are we connecting to with the energy of a song or music?
It's, with a song, if there are words, it's usually a story that is personal enough for the one who wrote it, that it has emotional content, but general enough that anybody can see themselves in it. That's what makes a good song.
Yes.
If it's just too personal, it's like, okay, cool, somebody's telling me about something that happened to him today. If it's too general, it becomes philosophical. It's just that perfect mix between the universal appeal and the individual experience that gives something its artistic power. If you're talking about just music, it's much more difficult to put your finger on it. What's the effect? I don't know. This is the effect that it has. You can't really put it into words, which is the nature of music, why it's so ephemeral, and why it is so spiritual in its nature. Obviously there's cultural things. It gets associated with a cultural group, and then there's that connection to it. And then it's no longer about the direct appeal anymore. You're not really experiencing music at that level. You're experiencing it at more of a cultural level. And being able to tell the difference is, worth its weight in gold. Right? I mean, I'm sorry, there's no comparison between Mozart and Justin Bieber. None.
Right. When you said, so many things right there, but I was thinking about religious, and how some music, and we say this often, it's something we literally use words for, is this song, this piece moves me. It moves me. Are they speaking that it shifted and their energy? Is it?
Well, of course. How else would you be moved?
Well, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't move me at all. Is that emotional? No, I mean, of course. Something inside of you vibrates in resonance with it. And that's
there's
the
words.
experience, right? Without that, there's no experience. You know, some people can listen to the greatest pieces of music ever and experience absolutely nothing.
Right. So how was that?
So it has nothing to do with the music. It has to do with the listener. You know, being somebody who played a lot, right, and played out. You know, by the time I'm ready to perform a piece in public, I hate it.
Yeah, that's so
I've
true.
heard it so many times. I know every bit of it, right? It just has no appeal anymore. And I don't even want to do it. But then when I perform it, I hear the audience, which hasn't heard it 1,000 times. Aww. They're reacting to it, and then I start reacting to them, and a whole different level of conversation takes over. And all of a sudden, the piece is new for me. I actually get to experience it for the first time through them vicariously, which of course makes the whole experience better, because now there's a level of passion that's back into it that wasn't there, that wouldn't have been there if I was just, sitting down to record it or something.
Okay, yeah.
That's why live shows are so much better.
Yes, yeah, completely different energy. It's so interesting. I can remember so many times when, friends or, even myself has thought, oh my gosh, this is the best song ever. I can't wait for so-and-so to hear it. And then you wait, and then they hear it and they're not moved, or they don't like it, or they have something different. And you're like, how could you not love this, right? So
what's the matter with you?
That's right. And we take it so personally, but you kind of already alluded to this, as we get our identity wrapped up in the connection that we feel to this music or genre or song.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to share that connection with somebody else. And if they do, it's a moment of deep intimacy. It's really wonderful. If they don't, it's kind of like,
yeah.
Okay.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it's a bummer, to put it bluntly.
Yeah. So this leads me to something interesting. I love the way you started this when you said you started experimenting with binaural beats. So first of all, binaural beats. I have to say that correctly. I've said it wrong so many times. What are binaural beats, and are they in every song, every music, every piece?
No. Binaural beats are a very specific technique which attempts to establish a vibrational frequency in the brain that is way below the threshold of what can be heard, right? Because your ears can only detect sound down to 60 hertz, which is 60,000 cycles a second, right? Okay. Below that, you can't hear it anymore. And the average person is like around 20,000. That's as high as you can go. Dogs go up to like 30, 40,000. They can hear way beyond what we can hear. But this is the range of what is audible to us. So everything fits within that range. But the frequencies that they've measured through EKG and MRI and that sort of thing that the brain operates on are much lower. Like when somebody's in sleep, it's down like around 3 hertz, right? When somebody's in meditation, it's between I think it's like 7 and 9. Our normal cognitive time when we're having a conversation is up around 12 and 15. But there's this range here that corresponds to different states that we're in. Dreaming is a different thing than deep sleep, right? Okay. And so the thought was, if we can find some way to stimulate the brain, we can bring about those results. That was the thought behind it. So the way they do that is they'll take binaural beats requires stereo headphones.
Okay. Because
you're going to have one frequency, 2 different sounds being sent to you through your ears at slightly different pitches. So if I put one at like 120, and then the other ear I put 127, the brain turns that into a 7 hertz vibration, which is the one that corresponds to meditation. It's in its attempt to balance the 2 sounds. It ends up vibrating in sympathy at the place in the middle.
Okay, that is super cool. So one ear, but you can't hear it, but it's there.
Well, you can hear it, but it's really annoying when you do. This is why they bury it in nature sounds and in music and stuff. Because to just listen to straight binaural beats, you go, you'd like, get me out of here. Yeah.
So they're sneaking vegetables into kids' food with chocolate pudding.
Exactly.
It's the cheese on the broccoli.
The broccoli is hidden in the chocolate pudding.
I love that. Okay, that makes more sense. But combined, it turns to 7 hertz. Okay, and that's corresponding with things. Okay.
Yeah, that corresponds to the lower level of meditation, which is like 7 to 9, I think, is what it is. And the science and neurology behind it is very interesting. But I find for the whole frequency thing, to try to just simplify it from my perspective of not trying to go that far into the physics of it, is exactly the same idea I have, the same approach I have with like tapping, EFT, and that kind of technique. Is it through touch? It establishes a sense of safety. It communicates safety. And as far as I can tell, these frequencies and these various kinds of vibrational frequencies will do the same thing, right? Obviously, if you hear something with a pounding beat, right, dum, 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 the music is very loud. It has an agitation to it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a very natural agitation to it. But they've known for thousands of years that if there's just a sustained tone, it has a calming effect. They call it a pedal point in classical music. They call it a drone in like Indian music, but you hear it a lot. You'll hear it on the sitar. There's the drone strings, tambura,
bagpipe.
Well, they're annoying all by themselves, no matter what they do. Them and accordions, what can I say? There's just no way around it. But it's been known, right? The sustained tone over a long period of time has a tendency to calm the system. And of course, that message of calm is a message of safety. And so it does create an inner environment of healing. So it can contribute, actually, to deepening a meditation or giving yourself the inner space to be able to process through some traumas and emotional patterns and things like that. It can be an aid for that, just the way tapping is. And I use tapping too, right? I use all those as part of the technologies to help one get into the state where healing can happen. I disagree with the idea that they create healing. They create an environment.
Yes.
When the environment is safe, the energy does the healing all by itself.
I love it. And actually, just because that was so perfect said there, you guys are actually going to get a little bit of GP's very own meditation music, which he does use these binaural beats in it. So come on back after the commercial break. We'll introduce this lovely piece, and you guys are going to be able to sample about 5 minutes of it. So come on back after the break.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Touch, move, and inspire. Sharing your story of how you overcame your deepest struggle will serve as someone else's survival guide. You are ready to get the book out of your head and onto the page. I'm Jocelyn Bellows, host of Breakdown to Wake Up, a live stream show dedicated to sharing personal journeys of men and women who have traversed through mazes of uncertainty, dark clouds, and dishonoring themselves, and the lessons they have learned along this path of what one can accomplish in our own self-discovery. And as a writing and life coach, I work with men and women to break through the BS of their lives to find their own voice and leaping into a life they love. It is my belief that when we share our stories of how we overcame what we have been through, it will serve as someone else's survival guide. So if you're ready to get the book out of your head and onto the page, I'd love to hear from you. Go to www.jocelynbellows.com and join me every Tuesday at noon Eastern and Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern.
If I could be you,
and you could be me
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Flow of Enlightenment. I'm here with GP Walsh, our regular master spiritual teacher, and today extra bonus musician and composer. Got everything in there. I'm already feeling this inspiration. I used to listen to, world music and new age music and chanting, all these kind of things all the time. And I, through lifestyle, I guess, you let somebody else maybe have the remote control for a while, or you just, Not
if you're a guy, you don't.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. No, or you just, maybe your job changes, your schedule changes, or you no longer drive to work during this time, and that's when you used to listen to your music. And so I am like, gosh, I want to get this back into my world, because I do feel this. I miss it, and I'm missing what it does, and it's so hard to put your finger on it. Yeah. And so, getting this opportunity to hear some of your music here and sharing it with the listeners, I'm really excited. Now, you have a lot of pieces. I mean, you have a YouTube channel which you share your music, and it's all over our website. So I do want to let everybody know we're only listening to a portion of one, because they're usually, 20 minutes and longer. And so we're going to do just under 6 minutes right now. So if everybody wants to get comfy in a place that they can just really enjoy. And would you recommend, GP, that they do put headphones on to have the stereo effect?
Yes, this piece is at a solfeggio frequency of 432 hertz, and it is the binaural beats. I think it's 8 hertz, which is in the meditative range. The binaural beats do not work through speakers. You have to have on the headphones to have the different things fed, and you'll barely hear them in the background, but they're definitely there. You may not even notice. That's the art of bearing it in there enough so that it's still effective, but not annoying.
Annoying, yes. I do know that annoying. I've heard pieces before, and I'm like, gosh, why don't I like them? But that makes sense. So, everybody, if you got your headphones, go grab them if you can. Or if you're doing a replay, you can always catch it later. But I want to take this time right now. This one is called The Eternal Moment Between Lives. And it does talk about life, lives, and death. And so that's going to be brought up in the few first moments. And you know what? Come on over, guys, to the website, which is www.gpwalsh.com. If you are one of our wonderful, and we're very appreciative, patrons, then you will have access to this as well. And that's probably the best way to do it. So for right now, we have a beautiful program, a patron program for $15 US a month. And you get access to things just like this. But
and a lot more.
Yeah, and a lot more, like so much more. But let's go ahead and enjoy this, everybody. We'll just enjoy this for about five and a half minutes, and we'll be right back.
Before we do, I just want everybody to point out that I do talk about dying in the beginning, and the whole point of this isn't, first off, we're, as a culture in the West, we're very afraid of it. It's just so buried. It's, and so we kind of like, to me, it's like being afraid of puberty, right? I mean, it's going to happen.
Right.
Right. And in fact, actually, most of us are quite pleased with the extra advantages that come with it. But the whole idea was to use that as a setting for letting go. Right. Life is about letting go. We can't hold on to anything. All is impermanent, and trying to hold on to stuff is where our suffering happens. So to actually ponder, and in Buddhism, meditating on death is actually a very high form of meditation. It's a very high practice. it really means that not, oh my God, it's going to go away, but the idea that in this, everything you have right now could go away, and it could go away in a flash. And to really come to terms with that is liberating and increases your appreciation for this moment. You don't take things for granted when you realize they could be gone any second. And so coming to terms with that sense of impermanence, which is really what this meditation is after, is why I did it this way, kind of set it up in such a way where completely without your own doing, everything you knew, were, thought is gone. Now what? So that's the whole point behind it.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, I wish we were listening to the whole thing, but we will do at least the 6 minutes. So please enjoy this, everybody. It is the eternal moment between lives, a portion of it.
Welcome to the eternal moment between lives. A guided meditation and inner exploration of who you really are. Close your eyes. Relax your body. Sink into a quiet space within you. Let go of the past. Let go of everything that has happened up until this moment, right here. And let go of all ideas of the future. And just be here and now, in this eternal moment. As your body begins to relax, imagine for a moment that you have just died. Now let the initial shock of that just move through the entire system and relax once again in your body. Into this place, right here and right now. We're going to explore that eternal moment between lives, when one life has ended and the next has yet to begin. You have died. You are headed to a totally new place. But before that transition can complete itself, before the change completely occurs, you have been granted some time. In the midst of this eternal, motionless, timeless now, you have been granted some time. some time to come to terms with everything and everyone in your life. You have time to say your goodbyes, to say your I'm sorries, to say your I love yous, to say you're forgiven, to say thank you. But you are already gone. They cannot see you or feel you or touch you or hear you. They cannot detect you at all. It's just you, alone with yourself as you review and embrace and let go of your entire life. You can take as much time as you like. Time doesn't really exist here.
Ooh, geez, I was like, oh no, I want to do that now. Oh. Okay, well, keeping on theme, because that is such a beautiful, lovely piece in and of itself. It's a I don't want to call it an exercise, a meditation to do. If someone's doing that without the binaural beats, well, what would be the difference in experience?
Well, there might not be any difference, actually. I mean, it depends on the person and their experience with meditation and that sort of thing. Okay. Because remember, the binaural beats, EFT, these are training of the energy system. They're not, medicine is medicine, right? It's meant to be taken until you're well.
Okay.
When you're well, you don't take it anymore. These are tools, right? Oh. It's the same thing about plant medicine and that sort of thing. They're not meant to be a way of life. They're meant to be an aid, because until it becomes completely internalized and your own, you're not free of your dependency upon the aids. And the object is to be free, to be fully free. So, in traditional meditation, it's absolutely silent. There's no music. There's nothing, right? You sit by yourself. In some traditions, like in Soto Zen, they even face the wall.
Right. Yes.
They don't. Not all of them are like that. Others, there's, focusing on the body, there's focusing on a candle, or focusing on your breath, which are all doorways to get to this place where you need no aids. It is the ultimate is a recognition of your own being, and that being is completely self-sustained. Getting ourselves to that point is the point. And so I always urge people, yes, these are tools to use, and like every tool, you use it until you don't need it anymore. All dharmas are temporary. Dharma being the Buddhist term for teaching. All of it is, the only thing that remains is you, which was one of the points behind this meditation, is as you're letting these things go, you find there's nothing but you. And that this is an opportunity to completely explode into infinite being, or, if the preparation isn't enough yet, you will eventually sink back down into the sense of wanting to be someone, and another life occurs.
Oh, is each life experience, and I mean like after death and then going again, is it a different frequency? Like, am I a certain frequency now and you're a different frequency, and then next time we'll come back and then we're different frequencies?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, feel your hand. It has a different frequency than your knee.
Yes.
I say these things, but please don't take it my word. Just check it out. Are you at a different frequency than you were when you were a child?
Well, I don't know if I would know that, because there's always the me, and there's always that seeker, like who I am is always there.
Well, at the essence of it, the essential consciousness, right? That's different. That doesn't have a frequency.
Oh, what? Wait. Oh my gosh, wait. It doesn't?
Frequency is all manifestation. The unmanifest, the essential self, does not have a frequency.
Right. Okay, I knew that and I forgot, and now I'm hearing it even in a different way than I heard it before, so it's a wow moment again. Okay, it doesn't, because frequency is manifest. Oh, and that's why when we tune into something, we can bring it into...
Yeah, that's the whole thinking behind the law of attraction and all that, which is fundamentally flawed, as we covered in another show.
The flaw of attraction.
Yeah, but that is the idea, right? Everything is vibrational. Everything is just this mix of vibrations. That is the manifest world is. Everything is some kind of a vibration. That's what the flow is. Nothing is sitting still. There's no anything solid. There's not anything solid in the entire universe.
Right.
It is all just a flow, and that flow takes on various characteristics. And one vibration will be the color red, another will be the color blue, and you put them together, and you get, and they dance together, and you get purple, right? And your one vibration is the note C, and another one will be the note F, and another one A, and you put that together, and you get an F major chord. Right. Things combine and recombine, and these combinations make other manifestations at increasingly complex levels. So it's this marvelously, unfathomably, mind-numbingly complex. There's just no way you can control all of that. And so what we call the individual is a constantly fluctuating set of vibrations. Right?
Yes.
But the essence, consciousness itself, is not a vibration. Because it is not the result of something else. It is not a manifestation. It is the unmanifest, and in order for there to be a manifest, there must be something it is manifesting.
Yes, and
it has no substance in and of itself.
Yes, and as complex as it is, we will be back after these commercials to try to make some sense of some of it. And what I'm going to be bringing this back around to is how we can use frequency and changing patterns. Now I got to share when we get back. But thank you so much, GP. This is fun. We're going to come back and talk more frequency magic.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
All right. I'm getting down to business here with this whole healing and patterns. So what I think I just learned, I'm not sure, but I'm like wrapping my head around this, is that when we are tuning in, or we recognize, or the frequency of things, and then they become manifested, I'm feeling like, okay, so we have an experience, it holds a frequency, maybe it gets stuck somewhere in the body, or it's resonating in a place in our body, and we have that sore knee, and or that elbow, like you said, it's a different frequency. And is that how we're using the binaural beats? Is that we are matching the frequency, or we're using these binaural beats to move the manifested stuckness of that?
Well, that's one school of thought. That the various solfeggio frequencies, 174 hertz, has the effect of healing the body, right?
Yes.
People talk about the Schumann Resonance, right, which is the vibrational frequency of the earth, and harmonizing with that and that sort of thing. I can't really speak to that. There's not a lot. If you try to approach it like a neurologist or an official scientist, they regard it as pseudoscience because there's no real clear evidence of it. Now, I don't, take that as being the absolute authority. I'm much more subjective. Does it have an effect on me? It has. So, okay, I'm good with it. That's all I need.
Right.
I don't need anybody to tell me I had an experience. I did. Right.
There's the T-shirt right there.
So, there you go. Can I explain why or any of that? No, not really. Do I need to? No, I don't. So I'm good with that. So let's just take a look at it just from a subjective point of view. If you're doing anything that brings the body into a state where it is just simply more accepting and more loving and more calm, it is going to feel safe. And all the traumatic material, all the stuff that gets stuck in your body, all the stuff we have to deal with that creates these, the various kinds of patterns and behaviors that don't serve us, are all the result of being in an environment that was dangerous. Yes. And you had to conform yourself in such a way to escape from the danger, or to avoid the danger, or at least mitigate the danger so that you could survive. It's a very natural, adaptive function that everybody goes through. The thing is that in the traumatic moment, which can be sustained, like childhood, this traumatic moments can last, all the way up to 19 years old, because it's kind of a sustained, a systemic kind of thing, an environmental thing. But so the behavior that in its adaptation has made you successful at surviving in that environment is completely debilitating when that environment isn't there anymore. Cut you off from having access. And so, yes, you're right. The vibration or the energy, gets stuck somewhere in the body. And so if a part of your body is forced to vibrate at a frequency which is outside of its normal, we call that sick. If it's vibrating according to its natural frequency, we call that healthy, right? That's the Tao. It's very simple.
Yes,
so
it is.
Everything becomes this kind of an energetic disruption. That's the way Gary Craig, the guy who created EFT, called it an energetic disruption. It's operating at a frequency that's not appropriate for it, right? You can't get a flute to sound like a tuba. You can't do it. Right? And if you force it, if you try to force it, you're just going to get a really weird sounding. It's just not. It won't be what it is. And all of us were forced out of our natural vibrational pattern as children, because the nervous system had to adapt to an environment in which it was not safe to be yourself. So you created a sense of identity, also known as the ego, based on a general vibrational frequency that was not you.
Oh, okay. And we must have we must do this in many ways, like every day. Every time we accommodate something, every time we, like accommodate. I want to use the word there because we might accommodate. Maybe we don't want to go to work that day, but we do. So
yes, because we have to.
Right. So it does, and the body
That's
feels
the
safe.
adaptive mechanism.
So in a weird way, does safety, does our own version of safety ever alter, or is it more we need to integrate and do that inner reconciliation? Because if my body says, oh, you don't want to go to work today so because it doesn't feel safe, but then I go, ooh, but if I go to work, I get paid, that makes me feel safe. So does it switch and shift what we think safety is?
Well, it becomes a choice, right? The feeling more safe or taken care of by not going to work, and the fear of getting fired and not having an income, which safety are you going to choose? Right? And
it's going to change each time.
And this is the nature of the nervous system. It's always having to choose between this conflict. And when we realize that's what's going on, we have some conscious authority to be intelligently engaged with it. When we don't realize it's going on, safety wins every time.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. So if we don't know what's going on, we get our brain out of it, our ego out of it, then we naturally will know. Yeah. Right.
If we don't, then the nervous system will take over, and the nervous system's number one mandate is safety. It's number one, period. And whatever it has determined to be, whatever patterns that it has come to believe in its basically energetic view of reality, constitutes safe and not safe, will simply never be contradicted. And you will live within that model for your whole life until some consciousness begins to emerge that allows you to discern that the model of life that you had regarded as safe was never your choice. It was imposed on you and was a result of the adaptation to a set of circumstances that don't even exist anymore. But the energetic patterns that resulted from it do. I call that energetic assumption. The nervous system creates a model of reality, and it assumes this reality is fixed. Right? Which is a good assumption, because when you're a kid, the environment you're in is relatively stable and consistent. So the nerve says, okay, this is real, this is my reality, so it creates automatic behaviors to respond to that reality. It's successful, and it goes, okay, we're good, and it just sets it in concrete. And without consciousness, some kind of conscious engagement, that will persist your entire life, and for most it does.
Yes. So my mother, when she was a child growing up, her parents moved all the time, and they moved so much that she shared a story. She'd come home for lunch one day from school. She was a little girl in school, came home for lunch, and there was a note on the door with a paper brown bag with her lunch saying, "We moved, here's the new address." And she had to find this new home. And so when she finally, grew up and left and got married and then had us girls, she always had all these boxes everywhere. I was like, well, Mom, why don't you unpack? She goes, well, I don't know if I'm staying. I was like, we've been here for years. Like, you can unpack that. Well, I don't know. And in the final home, she was there almost 20 years, but yet never unpacked.
Yeah, she couldn't do it.
She could, no. So is in that situation, let's use that for an example, your brain can logically say, like, I've been here for 20 years. Like, I can unpack, but what's stopping? Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. The cognitive part of your brain is just, it's a bit player that is just stupid enough to think it's actually pulling, running the controls. It isn't. That's not how you do it. Yes, you can. That insight recognizing, if you recognize that the cognitive reality that you've perceived, that you now know is true, is in direct contradiction to the energy of the nervous system, which is stuck in this pattern, you then are empowered to be able to show the nervous system how this isn't the case anymore. But that's what you have to do. You have to create an environment in which the energy system itself can detect that it's not in that environment anymore. And when it does, it will adapt, because that's its nature. That's what it'll do. That's what it does. That's what inner reconciliation is all about. you're basically showing the energy system it's safe to be okay. It's safe to be free. But it has to be shown that. You can't make it. That's why self-help doesn't work.
That's right. And this is like the biggest court case of the life. The biggest court case ever. Give me all the evidence and make sure I believe it.
Yes. Yes. I always like to use the example of the Japanese soldiers after World War II. Like 7 years after the World War II, there were still soldiers spread about the South Pacific that didn't know the war was over. They were still fighting the war.
Yeah, that's
and somebody even told me that they found the last one 29 years later. 29 years. It was like 1970 something when they ran across this guy who still thought the war was going on.
That's absolutely incredible.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. But this is the nature of the nervous system. This is the way it works. If it doesn't know any, it took them a while to convince them that the war was over. It's okay. You can come out. This is not a trick by the round eyes.
Right. I wonder if they use binaural beats. And so, and just to bring that in for real, is that, so it's a tool. You mentioned this. It's a tool, and the binaural beats on their own are they effective, or must they have this self-inquiry, this meditation piece, or can you just listen to binaural beats and go, look at that, it fixed everything that wasn't right?
No.
No, okay.
I know one guy who runs I Awake, which are very well-known binaural beats, and I've had conversations with him. John Dupuis is his name, and that's his whole life. That everything he does is about that, and he's very, very good. And when you buy some of his stuff, especially his meditation programs, he's got a whole book on how this isn't enough. You need a meditation practice. Okay. Just this is not enough, and if this guy says so, you can take it. I mean, I'll say so, and But it's more than that, because it requires a conscious participation, right? Mm-hmm. You can set up an environment internally through binaural beats and tapping and that sort of stuff, but if you don't redirect the energy towards a different view of things, it will get calm and then go back to it. It'll just go back to its shape. Oh. It's got to be introduced to a different environment that it can adapt to. Okay. As long as it believes the environment is dangerous, even if it has a moment of calm, it will still regard the environment as dangerous. It has to be able to take a look and see, I see. Okay, yes. Oh, it is safer. All right, cool. And the moment it sees it's safe, it drops the defenses and adapts to it, because that's its nature. It's not holding on for any other reason than it believes it has to. Yes, I love that.
Okay, that is so powerful, because I oftentimes will say, I just need a break from all this. Okay, well, great. You have a break. You have a cup of tea. You get a hug. You have a nap. But then you wake up right to the same old mess and fear. And so this introduction, that's why self-inquiry is so powerful, because it's not telling you what to do. You are finding out or remembering.
It's a discovery. It's self-discovery. Yes. Nobody can tell you who you are.
That's right. Tell me who I am.
How can I know, right? I can give you my impression of you. That's at best. That's the best I can do. And it will be slanted and colored and distorted, from my perspective, right? So instead I point you to all the places where you can find out for yourself, which is much, much better, right? I don't know who you are. You do.
Right. Oh, and you could. So this is. I'm so glad we did this show, because, all of your meditations are beautiful, whether they have the binaural beats or not. There's an invitation to beauty with your music that makes it for a nice pretty place to sit and do this self-inquiry work. and they can certainly find a lot of your stuff is on YouTube, and it is free. So absolutely, please, everybody, go check GP Walsh out on YouTube there to listen to some. And then we super hope that you'll come on over to gpwalsh.com and become a patron, where for $15 a month, we've helped you've put it in an organized fashion so you can find things a little easier and maneuver around, and participate in some of the upcoming classes and courses, because you do these VIP days, or not VIP days, like master classes and courses. That do you play the music when you have those?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I'll sometimes even do it live with my tongue drum, right? And sometimes I do.
Okay.
Not always. Yeah.
Right. Well, now we're going to make sure that when we do advertise to sign up for one of your classes, we'll let them know it's got the binaural beats or music in it or not. But otherwise, well, thank you so much, GP, for sharing this information. It's been amazing for me. I hope you guys, let us know what you think. Email us. You can do questions at gpwalsh.com, or if you want to have your own question and topic that you'd like to hear, or just, come on over, sign up for the newsletter, which is called the Light Letter, and you'll find that at the website as well, gpwalsh.com. Thank you, GP.
Thanks, Lisa.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next week.